Hello there everyone, and welcome to today's video here on my channel. Today I thought I would do a kind of nostalgic video of sorts because on last Friday, I just finished my last day of high school ever. So today I thought I would bring you some books that I am just really thankful that I read while I was still in high school and that I think are really good books to read while you're in high school. It doesn't mean that people who aren't in high school can't enjoy these or that other books wouldn't work in place of these books, but I just really think that these books are really good to read in this time of your life. Because it's kind of a transitional period in your life, you don't know really who you are and you have to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life kind of in this 4 years. So I just really found these books really inspiring and helpful, and so I thought I would share them with you today. The first one I have on this list is kind of obvious because I've been talking about it non-stop ever since I read it, and that is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I am forever grateful that I read this book while I was still in high school because the themes it deals with really have to do with high school, and now I can forever look back at this book as kind of like a nice nostalgic read of what it was like when I was in high school. I can definitely identify most with Charlie because he has anxiety and wasn't the biggest person to have all the friends and wasn't popular, and that was definitely me. This book is about a high school freshman who has gone through a lot of tragic things in his life, but is really trying to just start over and make a good life for himself and figure out who he is, and he ends up befriending these two seniors and gets this whole group of friends, and it's just a really touching story, and it's really impactful and powerful and sheds a light on things that I never knew about before. So I'm really grateful that I read this book, and it's definitely like an epitome of my high school experience. I also love the movie, and there's a song on the movie called Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners that ended up being my group of friends theme song for senior year, and every time that song comes on I feel this rush of emotions because it means so much to me. So this book. Next books I have are the Morgan Matson books. These are the only books that I've read of Morgan Matson so far. I really want to read her other two, but I haven't gotten around to them yet. But I love both of these. They're some of my all-time favorites, and I just find their stories to be incredibly inspiring and relatable. First up, we have Since You've Been Gone, and this is about a girl named Emily who's kind of shy and doesn't do anything without her best friend, and then her best friend goes missing, and she gets this list in the mail of all these things she's supposed to do, and she thinks that once she completes the list, she will be able to find where her best friend has gone. And it's really a finding yourself story. It's about Emily trying to discover who she is. It takes place between the summer in between junior and senior year, and I just found it was really relatable, and the characters were just amazing, and it was just a really good book to read at that point in my life. And then we have The Unexpected Everything, which is one of my favorite books of all time and was like my third favorite book of last year. I just love this book so much. This is another story that takes place the summer in between junior and senior year of high school, and that's when I read this book. This deals with Andy, who is the daughter of a politician, and kind of there's this huge scandal that goes on and her summer plans kind of get ruined. So she has to become a dog walker, and she meets this new boy, and she has all these fun experiences with her friends, and I just remember loved reading this, and the time that I read it was just so perfect because I could relate to Andy and all of her friends so much, and I just loved the experience I had while I was reading this. This also deals with a lot of figuring out who you want to be as a person and what you want to do with your future and who you are as an individual compared to who you are around others, and I just thought it was a really good story, and I love this book to death. There's also a character in this book who is a stage manager and whose boyfriend is an actor, and I just loved that that was included in it because I'm a theater person whose entire life is surrounded by theater, so it's just great to have that included in the books that I read because I've never seen that happen before. There's a scene in this book where her and her three best friends have a scavenger hunt with all of their significant others, and I just loved that scene so much because it was so much fun, and they were all running around the town trying to collect all these things, and then I ended up doing it with my group of friends, and it was one of the best experiences of my entire life. Next up, I have like my second favorite book of all time, and it's kind of an unlikely read for me because I was not expecting to like it as much as I did, and that is Looking for Alaska by John Green. To this day, this this book remains to be one of my favorites of all time, and I have no idea why. It was such an unlikely read, and I really just didn't see it coming, but then it ended up affecting me so much more than I thought it could ever affect me, and I'm so grateful that I read this book. Funny thing about this book is I actually read it in a car on a road trip with my 2 aunts, and I read it out loud. And if you know the contents of this book, there's a lot of sexual references and innuendos, so it was very funny to read this out loud to my 2 aunts. I actually ended up censoring a lot of it, which I thought is very funny. But you can ask me why I like this book so much, and I really don't have an answer for you, because I can give you a bunch of reasons why it's one of my favorites, but there's something about this book that I don't think you can truly understand until you read it. It is about a boy who is living in either Alabama or Arkansas, and he doesn't have any friends there, and so he begs his parents to go to a boarding school in Florida. There he ends up making this group of friends that's kind of the unlikely friendship, and they all end up doing all these pranks, and they just are really rebellious, and it was so interesting to see that other side of what high school can be like. Because I didn't go to a boarding school, I went to a public high school, and also they kind of were different people, and I didn't hang out with these kinds of people when I was in high school, so it was interesting to see that whole other side just revealed. I highly recommend this book to anyone ever, and I think you should read it. Even if you're not in high school, it's amazing. And then last but definitely not least, I have a book that I read recently this year that I just thought was super impactful and really want almost everyone on the world to read this book, and that is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. This book follows a high school senior named Adam, and he has a free period and ends up being a student aide to the school's psychologist. And he doesn't think he's going to be doing much, he thinks it's just a free period, and then the psychologist sends him to track down this boy that has been avoiding her. And he ends up doing it, and he finds out that this boy is actually his former foster brother, and he hasn't seen him in 10 years. And basically this foster brother has had this secret behind him and doesn't tell anyone about it, and it's kind of about Adam trying to unravel what is wrong with him, and there's all kinds of different things that happen within this book, but the biggest theme is friendship, and I just love that in this book there isn't much romance. The romance is kind of off to the side, but it's around friendship and the experience you have in high school and how it can change your life and what it means to you, and I just thought it was an amazing story. It's super powerful and impactful and was breathtaking to read and definitely just hit me. There is a trigger warning for child abuse in this book, so just be aware of that before you read this. But it is a book that has to deal a lot with love and acceptance and just friendship, and it was an incredible book, and I really recommend reading this. Even if you're not in high school, it's just an amazing book that I think everyone should read. So these are the books that I'm really grateful that I was able to read while I was still in high school, and that I really recommend you read if you are still in high school. But even if you aren't and you haven't read any of these books, highly recommend all of them. They're all incredible and really impactful and just inspired me in so many different ways, and I'm really glad that I read these while I was in high school. So this video is kind of just a nostalgic look back in my years of high school now that I'm officially out. It's really weird to be out because all of my friends who are underclassmen are still in school because seniors get out first, and it's just really weird, and I'm graduating in less than 2 weeks, and it's bizarre to me. But here's hoping that the future brings a bunch of different things that you won't be expecting. Yeah. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below, and in the comments let me know any books that you're really glad you read while you were in high school, or how any of these books affected you. I would love to know. If you haven't and you would like to, you can always click subscribe. I make new videos almost every week about different things and random things, so if you want to see any of that, click subscribe to join me. Hey. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. Don't forget to be kind and awesome and inspiring every day of your life.